This video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. If you're interested in learning web development, iOS, or UX design, Dev Mountain is a 12-week design and development bootcamp intended to get you a full-time position in the industry. To learn more, visit devmountain.com or click the link in the description below. Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video, I want to show you how to use GitHub Pages to deploy your applications, to host your front-end applications or your static websites, anything that doesn't have a back end. So if you're using like Node.js or Python or PHP, then you'll have to find something else like DigitalOcean or something like that. But if you have just a regular website or just a complete front-end application using React, Angular, Vue, GitHub Pages is a nice free solution. You also get free SSL. Now I'm going to show you how to use something called GH Pages, which is an NPM module that is just awesome. What it does is it creates, it allows you to create a separate branch called GH Pages, and that's where all the stuff that you want to host goes. And we can do this by just creating a simple NPM script. So to give you an example, if we look at my modern portfolio repository, this is the master branch. Okay, so this has like all the Sass, we use Sass in this project, so it has all the SCSS files, see package.json, stuff like that. And then the dist folder is just the HTML stuff, the compiled CSS, compiled JavaScript, the stuff that you want to deploy. Now, if we go back to the root here and I go to my branches, you'll see I have a branch called gh-pages. And if we look at that, that's where everything in the dist folder is, with the addition of the CNAME file, okay? Because I actually attached this to a real domain name, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well. Okay, so basically this GH Pages module will allow us to just simply set it up so we can do npm run build, and it'll automatically push to this branch, and it'll automatically deploy our website. Okay, now I actually have this hooked to the domain of traversyapp.com, and there it is, okay, HTTPS and everything. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that with just a static site. If we have time, I might do it with a React app. It's basically the same thing. When you do npm run build with React, it builds out a folder called build, and you would just use that instead of dist. Okay, same thing with Angular. If you do ng build, it builds out, I believe, a folder called dist, and you would use that. Okay, and if you took my React front to back course, we did this in that course. So let's start off here with just jumping into VS Code. I have an empty folder called My Website. I'm not actually going to build a site or anything. We're just going to have a simple HTML page, but we can pretend that it's a real site. So what I'll do first is create a folder inside here, and I'll call it dist. Okay, you could call it build or site or whatever you want, really. It's just what you want to be deployed. So I'm going to create in here just a file called index.html, and we'll just add some boilerplate here. Let's change this title to My Website, and then we'll just add an h1 here, and we'll say welcome to my site. Okay, let's actually create one more file. We'll call it about.html, and I'll just grab everything here and paste that in, and we'll just change this to about, yeah, just about, and save. Okay, so this is what I want to deploy to GitHub Pages. So I'm going to now, let's close these up. I'm going to now install GH Pages. Okay, now I know a lot of you guys know this, but to use NPM, which is the Node Package Manager, you need Node.js installed. So if you don't have that, just go to nodejs.org, download and install it. Very self-explanatory, just like installing anything on your machine. And then if you do npm -- version, you should see a version. Okay. Now, before we actually install GH Pages, we just want to run npm init to initialize what's called the package.json file. And we're just going to add a -y, so I don't have to answer any questions. It'll just use the defaults. And now if I go to package.json, it looks like this. Okay, so now I'm going to just install gh-pages. Okay, you can do npm install or npm I, doesn't matter. And we'll install that. That'll get added here as a dependency. And now there's just a couple things we need to add here. One is going to be the home page. value, so our homepage key value. So we want in here, you're going to want to do HTTPS, and then whatever your GitHub username is. Mine is Brad Traversy. And then you want to do .github.io and / whatever you're going to call the repository. I'm going to call it my website. Okay, so that's that. And then the last thing we want to do is just create a script to be able to deploy to the GH Pages repo. So I'm just going to replace test with deploy. And then all this is going to do is take GH Pages, and we're going to add a D flag for the directory, and then whatever the directory name is where we want to put, whatever we want to deploy, which in our case is dist. Okay, so we'll save that. And now we just want to create a GitHub repo. So let's go back over to GitHub and let's create a new repository. Okay, I'm going to call it my website. I'm going to delete this after. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the basics of Git. I do have a Git Crash Course. I'll put the link in the description. But basically, we just need to initialize our repository, add, commit, and then push to GitHub. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use my integrated terminal, but you can use your regular terminal. If you're on Windows, you can use your command prompt or Git Bash, whatever it is that you use. So first thing we'll do here is let's actually create in the root here, we'll create a .git ignore file, because we don't want this node modules folder being pushed to our repository. That's just all the dependencies. So we just want to add in here node_modules and save that and close it. Okay, so now we can do git init. That just initializes a Git repository, basically creates a hidden folder called .git. Okay, now we want to do git add, and I'm going to add everything. So I'm just going to use a dot here. That adds everything to the staging area. Okay, now we're going to do git commit -m, and then just any comment. I'll just say initial commit. Okay, that adds it to the staging area on our local machine. Now we need to add our remote repository. So we'll go back to this page, grab this right here, this git remote command, and paste that in, run that. Okay, then we want to go back and grab this last one, which is just the initial push to the master branch, and we'll run that. I already have my SSH keys set up, so if you don't have SSH keys set up, you can use HTTPS instead of doing this right here. You could change this. This right here to HTTPS and do it like that. You just have to put in your password and your username for GitHub. All right, so now if I reload this page, there it is, everything that we pushed to the master branch. Now, if I look at our branches, we only have master. We don't have the GH pages. So to deploy to GH pages, all we have to do now is run npm run deploy, because we added this right here, our deploy script. So let's go ahead and run that. Just takes a couple seconds. Okay, so now it says published. So now let's go back to our repository and reload. And now if I go to branches, you'll see we have a GH pages branch. If we look at that, it's just the index and about. That's what we want to be hosted. Okay, so we have that branch, and then we have our master branch. So now if I go to settings and we go down to where it says GitHub pages, you'll see that the GH pages branch is already selected for us. And we even have our URL right here, which if I click, there it is. There's our website. Okay, so you can do this with any front-end application, React, Angular, Vue. As you just need to make sure you choose your build folder or dist, whatever it's called, as the folder that you want to be deployed. Okay, so now let's work on a domain. Now I'm using Namecheap, but you can use any domain registrar as long as you can add records and things like that, which is pretty much every domain registrar. I'm going to just bring this over real quick. So this is for a domain called traversyapp.tech, and this is like the panel where this is the advanced DNS panel. Okay, and I'll put a link to Namecheap. There might be an affiliate link if I have one. If not, I'll just put the regular link. But what we want to do here is add 4 A records to certain certain IPs. Okay, so we're going to add one, and let me just grab the IPs real quick. Okay, so this first one, the host is going to be @ so it's just the root, and then the IP is going to be this right here, 185.199.108.153. Okay, then I'm going to say add new record. Again, we want to do @ and then we want to do the same IP, except right here it's going to be 109. Okay, we want to add another one, and this one here is going to be 110. And then we want to add another one, last one, and this one here is going to be 111. Okay, so you just want to increment this third one by 1. All right, and I'll do save all changes. Okay, so it's going to save all those A records. And let's go back to our repository, which is right here. Go down to GitHub Pages and add the domain traversy.tech or whatever domain you're using, or what was it? No, Traversy app.tech. And let's save that. All right, now I believe this will work right away. I think the CNAME, which we're going to do in a minute, might take a little while, but this should work. Let's try it out. So if we go to HTTP, I don't know if we can use SSL yet. I think we might have to wait, but let's try it. So it's Traversy app.tech. There it is. So we have HTTPS working, Traversy app.tech. We have our site showing here. Now, if I do HTTPS www.traversyApp.tech, it doesn't work. Okay, so for this to work, we actually need to add a CNAME record. Okay, so you'll see right here, CNAME. Right now it's pointed to a Heroku record. So I'm going to change this. We want to change this to your username, your GitHub username. So in my case, Brad Traversy, and then .github.io, and that's it. No subdirectory or anything. It won't work. And save that. Hopefully it lets us. Should. Hello. An error occurred. bradtraversy.github.io. Why did an error occur? Okay, so now it worked. I don't know what happened there, but you just want to add that CNAME record. Make sure it's your username, obviously, and then let's see. I have a redirect here. That's fine. So now what we want to do is go back to our repository, and we want to go. Let's see. We want to go into the GH Pages branch. Oh, it created it automatically. CNAME. Oh, wow. I didn't know it did that. Okay, so if you see the CNAME file here, that's fine. If you don't, just go ahead and create new file, call it just CNAME, no extension, nothing like that, and just put in the domain like this. So now, I don't think it'll work right away. Let's see, proceed. Okay, so it does. Why www. Okay, so it's working. So the www version, it just is showing up as this. Okay, so our site is now fully deployed with an SSL. Okay, so that's pretty damn good for free, and it's pretty simple. So I like to add that to my workflow. Just even if it's a static website, even if it's a 4 or 5 page site, and you want to host it on GitHub Pages, just put it in a separate folder that you want for the GH Pages branch, install GH Pages, and deploy. Simple. Now, real quick, I'm just going to kind of do the same thing with a React app just to show you that it's possible. Okay, so let's see. I'll just leave this as is, and let's create a whole new folder for the React app. So I'm just going to create a new folder. I'll call it My React. Try to do this quick. And let's open this with VS Code. Okay, and let's see, we're going to use Create React App, so I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm going to use npx, which allows us to use something like Create React App without installing it on our system. So we'll say create-react-app, and I'm going to do dot because I want it in this current folder. And we'll just use the boilerplate landing page, whatever you want to call it. And while that's going, let's create our Git repository for it. So we'll create another repository, and I'll call it My React. Okay, let's go back. It's still going. When you use npx, it takes a little longer than if you install it on your system. All right. So let's just make sure that it works. So I'm just gonna do npm start. Just runs the dev server just to make sure that it runs. Okay, good. Close that up. Oops. And let's stop the server with Control C. And now what we want to do is install GH pages. So gh-pages, just like we did with the regular static site. Now, let's see. Go to package.json, and we're going to do the same type of thing here. We want to put in a home page value. So let's say homepage, and it's going to be https Brad Traversy dot github.io / and I called it My React. Okay, now for the deploy script, let's go down to scripts and add deploy. Now you have a couple options here. We could do gh-pages -d, and then React, when you build it out with npm run build, it actually puts it in a folder called build. So you want to use that as your directory, not dist. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Yeah, this should be fine. So let's save this, and let's if we look at our git ignore that comes with Create React App, node modules is already there, so that's not going to be pushed to the master branch. Build, which is the folder that we want to host, that's the static assets that are created, that's not pushed to the master branch, but we're going to use that with GH pages. So let's first of all just push this to the master branch. So we'll say git init. Okay, let's do git add all. We'll do git commit initial commit. Okay, now we want to just grab real quick the remote link right here, or the remote command, and paste that in. Okay, just like we did with the other one, and then push to the master branch. All right, so if I go and I reload now, we have our master branch with our React app, and that's it. We only have the master. So now let's do the GH pages. So first thing I'm going to do is just build out our static assets. So this Create React App comes with a build command, so we can just simply do npm run build. All right, so now you can see that we now have a build folder which has our index.html and all our static assets, everything like that. So now that's the folder that's actually going to be deployed to the GH pages branch, because that's what we put right here. So let's go ahead and do npm run deploy. And hopefully this works. Okay, let's go back and let's see, let's reload this page, and let's see, we have GH pages. Okay, looks like all of our whole static, our whole build folder is in there. Okay, let's go to settings, go down to GitHub pages, and let's click on this link here, and there it is. All right, so we have a React app, and again, you connect a domain just like we did with this one. Okay, same process. Now, one thing you could do, and one thing we do in my React front to back course when we use this, is we put the build process in the deploy. So you could do like npm run build $&, and then do the GitHub pages deploy. That way you don't have to do npm run build by hand. You can just do deploy, and it'll build it out for you. Okay, so you could do that as well. All right, guys, so hopefully you enjoyed this little tutorial, and hopefully it helps you understand GitHub pages a little more and gives you a little bit of insight on adding it to your workflow and deployment. I think it's a fantastic service. And yeah, that's it. If you like this video, please leave it a like, and I'll see you next time.